Good morning and welcome to Thursday's Early Morning Intuitive Guidance. I'm going to go a little further this way because the lighting is weird today. Oh well, I didn't move anything. So, happy Thursday. Here we are. Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, America's kick-ass coach and psychologist, with some words of wisdom for today. And today's card is definitely need to take some time and cogitate on it kind of card. So we hopefully all of us will choose to do that. We always have choice and we always have opportunities. My little counter just says 1, but there's no name popping. So welcome to whomever is here with me. Well, there we go. It's Nancy. Good morning, dear. Glad you are here. Welcome, welcome. So, and there's Beth. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And today I think we're supposed to get up into the 50s. So I even have my short sleeves on. I'm practicing ahead of time. Hopefully it'll be a nice day. It's also mammogram day. Yay! Take the girls to the office day. Yay! We'll see how that goes. It's usually not an issue. So all kinds of things happening today. And our card, good morning, Gwen. Glad you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I think it's a call to action for sure, but it's an opportunity, an invitation to check ourselves in terms of how we're framing things up, in terms of how we are looking at things, and there are some habits that many of us have. Oh, the 80s. Ooh. Again, probably a little warm for me. But it sounds lovely. It sounds lovely. Give me 65 and sunny and I'm a happy girl. So, yes, there we are. This card, back to this card. The image on the card actually shows her with a blindfold on. And that's an interesting way to look at this. It's actually, I'll just show it to you. Surrender denial. Surrender denial. But it's actually, I've been thinking about other ways that we actually deny reality. Because actually we're interpreting reality, right? We get to decide what something means. And we have certainly seen how there can be vastly different interpretations of what something means. Eyewitness testimony, yeah, not so much. So, again, this is an opportunity. This is a calling to us to consider other ways of looking at things. And fits in lovely. I was just looking at the box also. The Power of Surrender. A 52-card deck to transform your life by letting go. And I, again, got the letting go message in spades yesterday when I went in to find out why I felt so miserable. That was day 12 or 13 of this cold or whatever it is, but that wasn't why I was there. I had some lower abdominal pain and I'm like, this isn't right. Something's not good here. So the tentative diagnosis is diverticulitis. So of course I go to Louise Hay to look it up, which it isn't there as that, but if you look around the various kinds of things, it's all about letting go. It's all about letting go. So it makes perfect sense to me. And the card for today, the Surrender Denial card, fits right in with that. So I'm going to move closer so you can see, walking through a field with a blindfold on, in a gauzy white dress, no less. So there you are. But let's start with some tapping and some breath, okay? So let's do the karate chop spot. I'm going to jump around a little bit, but let's do the karate chop spot as that universal reset, right? So the things that we're denying, what we're pretending not to know, etc., tapping the reset kind of helps bring that stuff to the surface. Hang on, got a cough. Okay, back to tapping. Set the intention for this tapping that we're going to do. The intention that it brings to the surface that which is being harbored, that needs to be released, the letting go, the opening ourselves to the letting go, including letting go of denial. Because denial is one way that we hang on to things that really don't serve us. I'm going to switch to the other side. You can do whatever you want. Isn't that nice? You can do whatever you want. So, nice deep breath in and out. And in and out. Good morning, Mel. Glad you are here. We are tapping to release, to let go, to surrender to denial, to recalibrate ourselves back into reality, a clarity of vision. Okay? Now I'm feeling called here. If you're called somewhere else to tap, tap there. Tap there. And again, if you feel like it, run through all the points. That is fine too. So, inside corner of the eyebrow, good morning, Abigail. Outside corner of the eye, under the eye, under the nose. Just tapping for letting go, tapping for clarity, under the mouth, tapping for a reset, collarbone, tapping for the ability to see what truly is, to be looking with our physical senses and our not physical senses, to be bringing in the information that we need under the arms to make all the best decisions in our life. What's in our highest and best good, which is by default what is in other people's highest and best good. We must take care of us first. And around the crown of the head. Nice deep breath in. Hold at the top and let it go. One more. Nice deep breath in through the nose. Hold at the top. Let it go. Doesn't that feel good? Doesn't that feel good? All right, so today we have Judith Orloff, The Power of Surrender. And our card again, Surrender Denial. So here are the words. Just being open, you might want to turn palms up, receiving position. You rest them in your lap. Open to these words, taking in exactly what they need to mean for you. And they may not mean for you what they mean for me, which is absolutely fine. I can't tell you how many pastor friends I have who say they give a sermon and people come up and thank them profusely for having said X, and they never said X. But that's what the person needed to hear, so on you go. Accept people and situations exactly as they are, without denying the difficulties. Good morning, Angie. Glad you're here. Welcome. And again, those of you who are here with me, or those of you who watch after the fact, there's something in here for you, or you wouldn't be here hearing these words. Accept people and situations exactly as they are, without denying the difficulties. Then you can see things clearly and make the best decisions. So one of the pieces of that I think is most important is our interpretation of events. We do it automatically. And those of us who are in fields, research fields, psychological fields, etc., we've had the daunting opportunity to practice ceasing putting our interpretation on things. I can't remember which class it was. It might have been social psychology, but they had us go out on campus and sit somewhere. Love my mug? I love my mug too. Yes. Believe, believe, believe. Sit on campus and observe. And it was amazing. We had to write descriptions of what we saw. It's very hard not to put interpretation on things. The young man was striding angrily across the commons. How do I know he was angry? I make the assumption based on things I observe, right? What if I'm wrong? And what if context makes a difference? In that same class, in the book, there were images. As I recall, there were 3 of them. But the call to action was describe what's happening in each scene. So the one I remember is an older man going, and so I thought he looked happy. When you see the bigger frame of the picture, you turn the page and then you see the bigger frame of all three of the pictures. And what you're observing is not at all what is actually going on in the picture. It looks like one thing, but you don't have the context to put it in, so it's actually something else. And again, even that actually something else involves the interpretation. So maybe practice that. Do that as you're watching me. So Bonnie just moved her hands. That must mean, who decides what that means? Even I probably can't totally decide what that really means, right? We have an unconscious mind. So going to the denial piece, and some of this runs a little bit counter to something else that I say, but I'm going to suggest to you that if you look at it not from a either or perspective, both can be true. So if we go back to thinking about passing our friend in the hallway and we say hi and they keep walking and don't respond, and I talk about, since we don't know why they didn't say hi, why not pick the interpretation that allows us to feel the best? In that case, in that regard, that's probably a reasonable approach to take, okay? In other circumstances, it really means we're in denial, right? So it might be that it warrants following that person and saying, hey, I said hi to you and you didn't say hi back. Is something wrong? Get some feedback. Sometimes, how many of us have had the instance of getting the feedback, no, nothing's wrong, but you knew darn well there was something wrong, right? It's an amalgam of all different kinds of things coming together. It's what our physical senses observe. It's what our history has taught us being brought to this situation. It's the context within the situation, right? It's our non-physical senses. What does your sense of intuition tell you about this? And when we don't spend a whole lot of time dwelling within, listening within, really understanding where we're truly at, it makes it even harder to discern, what does this mean? What does this mean? What do I choose for it to mean? What's in my highest and best good for it to mean? What am I pretending not to know, right? So clarity, and I think that's sometimes why we seek out someone else's opinion. We're hoping that they have enough distance from whatever it is that they can give us some perspective that maybe we've lost, right? If you think about somebody who's in a bad relationship, oftentimes when and if they finally leave that relationship, they will say, I should have left long ago, and that other people had pointed things out. But again, they weren't ready to hear it. They weren't ready to hear it. La, 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 la. So really taking the time to, so if you go back to this observation thing, let's just do a little one. Let's say someone's in a crappy relationship, right? And let's say that they've just discovered that that person has been lying to them about something. Maybe the person is gambling. Maybe the person's using drugs. Maybe the person's having an affair, whatever it is. What you do next makes a difference. How do you account for what happened? And what you tell yourself about that makes a difference. Well, they probably didn't mean to do that. Leads you to one set of outcomes. I will never tolerate this in my life. Leads to another set of outcomes. You're the one. And again, when I say depending on how often you sit down to coffee with yourself and really know who you are, in my opinion, there's a direct correlation between how much time you spend with yourself and the clarity of your viewpoint about the circumstances in your life and the willingness in your action plan to make different choices. So play around with it. Something may happen. Let's say somebody roars past you on your way to work today and cuts you off in traffic. If you decide to say, that person is a total jerk, I hate their guts, blah, 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 you're going to have one set of outcomes, right? Probably going to flip them off, beep the horn, ride their bumper, whatever, road rage it up, whatever. On the other hand, if you tell yourself, maybe they're stressed, maybe they're having a bad day, I don't know what's going on in their world, you back off a little bit, give them some space, right? What we choose to do is very much connected with how we've chosen to process something. So we want to bring that processing process to the surface. We want it to be conscious processing, not subconscious processing based on our history, based on our fears, based on our one down assumptions, etc., etc., etc. Is this making sense? Give me a thumbs up or a whatever if it's making sense. So we want to surrender that denial. We want to let go, or at least look at the stories we're telling ourselves about stuff. Decide, does this particular story that I'm telling myself benefit me? I saw a thumb fly. Thank you. Benefit me in some way. Thank you. If yes, I may continue to tell myself that story. If no, what story would be healthier for me to tell? Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate it. What story would be healthier for me to tell? What does the literal, observable reality look like? Barring my interpretation, what is it that I'm actually seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling? What are my senses bringing in about this situation? Because all too often, we do surrender to denial. There's that bell. Thank you, Abigail. I appreciate it. We surrender into denial and we lose clarity. We lose focus. And people outside of us can say, why the hell isn't she seeing this? But because of what story we've chosen to tell ourselves, we're not seeing it. Interesting question to ask yourself, in addition to my favorite, what am I pretending not to know, could be, if I chose to look at this differently, what would be the impact? What would be the outcomes if I choose to look at this differently? Because hidden in there, when I work with clients, one of the things that I love to do is I have this NLP worksheet that takes something, and we take what piece of it, called the ecology check, takes a look at what do you stand to lose if you shift your thinking to this new way? What do you stand to lose? What are the negative outcomes, potential downsides of shifting your thinking to this new desirable way? But if we don't look at what do you stand to lose, that may be too big to allow the shift to happen without judgment. And as human beings, even what's coming through our filters is getting judged in some way, right? But we can still describe a circumstance as neutrally as possible. Think about journalists. That's what they're supposed to be doing. It's not what a lot of them are doing, but it's what they're supposed to be doing. Describing things merely as they are and allowing us to make the interpretation of that. Certainly our journalistic system has shifted to where more of the interpretation is getting spoon-fed to us, the interpretation that some entity wants us to have, as opposed to perhaps the interpretation that we would choose. And notice what happens there. If a particular news source feeds us interpretations that align with our interpretations, we watch that news source. If it feeds us interpretations that are opposed to our interpretations, we turn off the channel. So, interesting to think about that. Interesting to think about that. So, let's practice today. Let's make it an experiment. Let's take the opportunity to look at circumstances in our lives, good, bad, and different, and think about what would it be like if I chose to apply a different interpretation to this? How would that change things? Mess around with it. See what you get. See what you learn. If some of you want to come back and post some stuff, that would be awesome. We can learn from each other's experiments. So that's it for today. Surrender denial. Accept people and situations exactly as they are without denying the difficulties. Then you can see things clearly and make the best decisions. So, have an awesome Thursday. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.